the importance of that we are not separated. We have a common connection to, to everything, whether it's manifested, whether I am seeing something is manifested, or I'm not seeing what is manifested, but try not to see the duality of what you're experiencing in, so that you're not seeing from a state or a country, or you're seeing from the world, or you're seeing just through your family. Because this is where at the moment when people don't have this level of consciousness that we are hurting each other, we are separating each other, and we are overly protecting the identity of our own self. And then we call it, it's our family, it's our religion, it's our state, it's our people. So I'm not going to detailedly answer all the things, but I'm going to give you some consciousness to the questions that you have raised. So you have to ask every moment that your human part cannot understand, because human part only will work on the logic, what that you like and what you don't like. So, but if I ask you in the practice, in the sense of experimental stage of the practice or embodying the practice, do you have an age where you are experiencing the practice from? Do you have a gender? Do you have any physicality to hold on to? Because if you really see, you don't. And if you're going to look into things that you are from that space, embodiment of the practice, you will not have this separation, and you will not verbalize things in separation. So this answer to a lot of your inquiries about what's going on the world. What's going on the world because some way suddenly someone will realize that he's separated and he has to unite into certain things, or united people want to separate from something. So this is an ongoing battle in most of the centuries in past, and this is nothing new. So these are the times that you're bringing your practice and practice and practice, so that you're not disturbed. When you're disturbed in your level of gathering information, you're going to react without even not knowing. And you're going to further, when you're trying to support something, you're further away from the support, because you can't even support yourself through your own practice. So this is a time that we need to bring this into the practice. I obviously know that you're very good at knowing it, but if you're not experimenting it into every moment, you're away from the practice. It is just a book. It is another library that is in the back. But if you're not working with it in every moment and seeing your progress as a human, becoming the being, then there will be always this triggering points, whether it's a health, whether it's the wealth, whether it's a relationship, whether it's with the environment, whether it's with another country, another race. So bringing all these level of understanding into the practice today, I will ask you to very gently allow yourself to take the seat of the practice and very gently allow things to be. This is about not adding anything into this space. This is about finding that spaciousness that you can see things without interfering with it. And very gently finding the bridge to be connected to things. Not just a Australian person, not just as a worldly person, but in the space of the universe. Otherwise, you will always feel that something else is against you. I will move the camera very gently towards Darren so that you can see and become part of the physical movement if you want to. Otherwise, you can very gently settle into the practice. Now, very gently, shoulders roll back a couple of times, taking that deep breath in, and very gently rolling that shoulders and loosening up so that the shoulders can stabilize. They are not active, they are not forced, they are not fighting, they are not overprotective. They're just there. The existence is there. Now, very gently take another couple of more breaths and roll the shoulders into the front, but shrug them up with a deep breath in. Even you can engage the pelvic floor and roll them forward. Very gently, you're taking and releasing the tension that your body is physically holding because you read something, whether you have reacting to something. Now take a deep breath in and very gently, allow that space to shrug, shoulders shrug, shrug up, 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 tilt the head back and massage the back of the skull. Now drop, breathe out, relax. Now very gently ask the question, is this space have a motive? Very gently allow the being to release its fragrance by being in that present. Now take a deep breath in, shrug the shoulders up, tilt the head back, open and close the mouth wider to release the tension of the jaw. Simply finding the nature of the jaw. Wider. Chin to the chest. Very gently breathe out, relax. Allow that the sense that cannot talk in you doesn't have to have a language, but it is the fragrance of your realization to radiate and communicate that you are that. The beneath that a lot of people doesn't know, they only know the surface. Now take a deep breath in, arms raised onto the crown, interlacing the fingers, palms facing up, stabilize your buttocks onto the floor, communicate with your spine, with your breath, that you have arrived into this part of the body. Now very gently spread the wings wider and twist the spine to the left. Very gently releasing the tension of the past and seeing things from that space. And very gently finding that you're sharing this space with the flowers, with the nature, with the animals, with the birds, with the rocks, without the separation or calling it that. Take a deep breath in back to the center. Clench and unclench your fingers, the wrist, give a good rotation to the wrist, inward and outwards, and take a deep breath in, arms raised onto the crown, interlacing the fingers, palms very gently face up. Just coming into from I am into that, just that amness, that you don't need that linguistic of finding yourself. Very gently take that deep breath in and twist the spine to the right side on the out breath. Very gently let this be the criterion for the weather, that you're emptying yourself or affecting yourself. You're emptying yourself. Imagine a room with so much of clutter of things. So you don't see anything, but then suddenly you take all the furniture out, all the picture frames out. You suddenly find this spaciousness. Come into that space. Breathing in very gently, coming back into that center where there's spacious. And you don't have to identify yourself from the limitation of your thoughts and believing in that thought and replacing a thought over a thought. Now very gently into a seated cow, very gently breathing out, collapsing that spine. And becoming more and more of that spaciousness of that sushumna. You have become more and more of attuned with that God, the celebration, the openness, the joy, the blessing, the existence. Breathing in, roll the shoulders back, opening up, push the belly into the front, tongue roll up onto the upper palate. Very gently coming into that yourself. See yourself when you're empty. You become more. You become more. There is a celebration. Out of this celebration, if you want to use a thought as a tool, please use it. Breathe out very gently now. Anus lock, navel lock, throat lock slightly. Now you can see when you have a past and a future. You are more sad, you are more heavy, you are more dull, you are more dead. Because it is affecting your consciousness. So a lot of people are nothing but slow suicide into this thought. Breathing in, gently roll the shoulders back, push the belly, tongue roll up onto the upper palate. So don't allow anything to deceive you, because otherwise all the media and everything is trying to pick up an opposite for you. Breathing in a neutral spine, and you have to become to that watchful space that you can monitor even yourself. Now take that deep breath in, shoulders relaxed, chest open. Very gently stretching that left leg into the back. If you're on the back of the mat, come into the front of the mat. Shoulders relaxed. Into the space of the pigeon pose. Now very gently bringing the palms next to the hip level. Shoulders roll back. Give that space to the spine, a gentle arch. Open the throat, stabilize the hips, stabilize the buttocks. Very gently drop the elbows and walk a little bit more further to release the tension. So instead of living in the surface of your organs, surface of your face, that we all do diplomatically. We talk, we can see it everywhere in the world happen. Start allowing you to go a bit more than the lips, bit more than the gesture of the talk. So it's not about just exercising the lips and reading poetry for people without no heart is collaborate into the praise of the situations without any feelings. Ask the person really who is talking and see behind it, so that we all will start learning to release the tricks that we are using. I'm not talking about real smile and real gestures here. I'm talking about how diplomatically we have become false selves of ourselves. Just become aware of that. Recalibrating into yourself, into the real divinity. Very gently. Breathing in, coming back. Breathing in, coming back. So now when everything, whether your gesture comes, whether your smile comes, whether your argument comes with your true self, it will help. It will strengthen the truth of your being. So see what has strengthened your falsity, your personality and your mask, and start dropping them. And try to come out of that conflict between real and the unreal or pretended. Now take a deep breath in. Very gently, we'll move on to a plank. Very gently, coming into the spacious of ourself is very important. And it will have a tremendous value into what is going to affect yourself is dangerous. What is affecting yourself is a subtle way of the ego. And the ego is coming from the back door again, from the front, from the side. Now, left knee onto the floor. Take a deep breath in. Right arm reaching up to the ceiling. Clench and unclench. Opening up the space of the right. Rotation to the right wrist. Right reaching into the back. Touch the floor. Now, very gently, left arm reaching into the front, up to the ceiling, opening up that chest, especially on this Paravita pose, finding the comfort to breathe. Use that gentle pressure onto the areas that has sluggish tightness. Of reaching into the back, touch the floor. Now very gently drop the knees. Very gently coming onto a cat, breathe out. Anus lock, navel lock, throat lock. Breathing in, into a cow, shoulders roll back, opening up. Tongue roll up onto the upper palate. Breathe out into the cow, anus lock, navel lock. Breathing in into a neutral spine, left arm reaching up to the ceiling, left arm reaching under the right arm. Take a good circular motion to very gently drop that shoulder. Right arm reaching into the front. Maybe buttocks relax a little bit onto the heel side if you can, or just holding the posture there. Very gently becoming and maintaining that humbleness. maintaining just a little bit of a slip here and there, you might just destroy that space of the unity that you have maintained for so long. This is not when we are trying to cover up our falsity. So when you're not carrying this falsity, you will allow things to be open. You will allow the intimacy. You will allow the friendships. You will allow nothing to be separated from you. You will not keep distance. You're not running away. You're not rushing away. So when people are not really relating in these times, means that they are exposing themselves. So they are not really relating in these times to anything. Breathing in very gently, coming back, shoulders relax. Now give a good rotation to the hips, wider rotation to the hips, giving that space of the digestion to release things. Allow the digestion to be free from fear. Onto the other side. Now very gently push the hips into the front. Breathe out, push the hips into the back. Now knees apart, palms facing up, buttocks drop onto the heels. And very gently, not overprotecting your inner being. Very gently, we all are sharing without any separation. So whatever is happening in the world is also happening to you in a way. But it is also the opposite. Whatever is happening to you right now, in that your closeness to this practice is also happening to the world. You might not talking or relating it, but energetically, that relationship with the infinite is there, not just the finity of it. So this is a good time to see where the marriage has become the institution, where the religion has become the institution, where the wealth has become institution, and all the ugly things. You can see it, because when you see it in yourself, you can see the misery of the world. So you're coming into a greater realization. Now very gently, palms facing down, crawling and bringing the chest into the front. Very gently drop the belly, soften the hips, very gently coming into a gentle cobra. And now you can see that you practice the embodiment, the experimental stage. You could see the ego disappears on its own. You don't force it. You don't have to drop it. You don't have to fight with it. Simply, it is absent. Now that you are very gently looking with attention, with the light of consciousness, awareness, you see that there is no separation, then there is no ego. Out of separation, the ego comes. So the question does not arise why or how you should efface yourself. There is nothing to efface. That which is and cannot be affected. And that which is not, and there is no need to efface it. Breathe out very gently, relax your forehead onto your hands, very gently coming into that space that you're seeing yourself not through the eyes of anything. Now you could see that your creative space, you're dropping. You were unnecessarily carrying them in the first place. You were carrying the ghost of yourself. You were carrying the nightmare of yourself. You were dispersed. Now when you allow the light of consciousness to come, and you're looking in deeply with no prejudice, with no fabricated levels of ideology, you could suddenly feel that neither you are no against, just looking, just happening. Things are dropping. Now take a deep breath in and bring that left knee onto the left side of the mat, high as possible, opening up, shoulders relaxed. Now stretch the left leg onto the left side, if you can, furthermore. Now very gently palms onto the chest level, onto the floor if you can. Now very gently you're coming into a gentle cobra. If your elbows are on the floor, even it's better for you to very gently extending the lower back, extending the leg, extending the torso, and very gently holding this posture. Now you're unburdened by anything. You are just a pure state of consciousness. You are just a space that, a virgin space within yourself, because that means you have not visited. Unburdened by anything. That is a space that you don't have to have a content consciousness. It can be content-less consciousness. That what you are, whether you're realizing it, whether you're seeing it, but one is free. You're free. Relax onto the pose, knee to the chest, and very gently stretching it back onto the floor and breathing in into an up face. Shoulders relaxed and chest open. Allow this pose to gravitate a little bit if you can. If you have restrictions in the body, please do respect that space, because nothing to prove. Breathe out towards the down face. Head down, neck down, totally relax into that space, realizing, creating that space of freedom and joy. Now very gently, left foot into the front, into the pigeon pose. Shoulders roll back, opening up the chest. Tilt the head back a little bit more by the extension of the back. Breathe out, drop the elbows. Walk those palms into the front. This is not fighting against the illusion or raising your voice into it. Then you have missed the practice. Because that's also the world in a level of, is when they are finding the illusion, then they go against it. But then you have missed the point. It will be the same trouble again. So there is no need of beating things that you have suddenly found the illusion. Let the world to be remain there. Let things exist in your illusion. You cannot fight with shadows. You cannot fight with that the information is fed to you. You are bound to be defeated, and that's what the purpose of the other party. Let this fundamental be always in your practice. If you fight with anything false, you will be defeated. The false cannot be defeated because it is false. How can you defeat something which is not? Only way is the bringing the consciousness to see it. Palms facing down, very gently coming back. Shoulders roll back. Take that deep breath into yourself. No need to fight. These days on those spiritual places, a lot of people are fighting to become humble. It is not really an effective way. Forcing themselves to be good. Plank. Strong on the pelvic floor. Now very gently allow the right knee onto the floor. Left arm reaching into the front up to the ceiling. Clench and unclench. Release that tension of the illusion that is your fighting, whether a pose that you read or something you have heard. Left reaching into the back and touch the floor. Right arm reaching into the front up to the ceiling. Clench and unclench. Right reaching into the back, touch the floor. Drop the knee, completely breathe out to the cat, stomach pulling. Breathing in into the cow. Shoulders roll back, opening up the chest. Breathe out into the cow. Breathing in into a neutral spine. Right reaching into the front up to the ceiling. Under the armpit, very gently dropping. Very gently pushing the buttocks, if you can, into the back a little bit. There is no tightness. Just bring in the practice that you are into the space. You don't have to be humble from an ego, or you don't have to be right because the both can come on the place of ego. If you don't know and come into the embodiment of this fundamental truth, and you have never gone within yourself. Humbleness is an expression of the ego. And you have to come into the space of neither. And you're simply whatsoever. I'm in that space. Humbleness is, I found, is a diluted stage of the ego. But don't attack the words here, because then you're coming back. Try to find yourself without dilute. Very gently coming back, breathe out into the space of the cat. Now in Buddha's teaching, Buddha was never egoistic nor humble, both are impossible. The ignorant person cannot be egoistic, can be humble, both are aspects of the ignorance. And the ignorant person can try to affect the ego. Breathing in into a cow, shoulders roll back, opening up that chest. So we are dropping tools so that you can really peel the onion. You have to see the same Gabe who wants to be powerful and control, or running away to become a saint. After all that, the game has not changed. Breathe out. Anus lock, navel lock, throat release. Now into a neutral spine. Give a good rotation, wider rotation to one side and the other side. Allow that practice to come, and we don't efface ourselves. Be yourself, looking within yourself, that very seeing. When you really see you, ego disappears. Onto the other side, push the hips forward and slip the spine back. Let your unique expression of your divine to be there. Because you start blossoming and your spring has come. You start the movement of your body. You have started movement of the flow of your seeing. And there will be always a greater gratitude arise. This is not the person that we are talking about, a sense of identity, but the joy that you have contributed into everything. Now you could see how much that respect that the divinity has paid to you. You have become your masterpiece. You're not a follower of anything. Utterly unique. Utterly incomparable. unrepeatable. Palms facing down, crawling and bringing the chest onto the floor. Breathing in into a gentle cobra, elbows on the floor. Right knee onto the right side. When you're ready, stretch the leg and very gently hold that posture back into a gentle cobra. Now, the hardest form of your inquiry, the thoughts, your overprotecting of your heart, your overprotecting of your neighborhood, your overprotecting of your culture, your overprotecting of your family, they all at this very moment melting into space of gratitude. Gratitude. The whole body, whole cellular part, the neural part of the body is in a space. So find your spaciousness, but don't efface yourself. Now, very gently, bring that knee back to the chest. Stretch into the back both. Now, stretching that right leg into the back, onto the floor. Arms stretching to the front. Now, very gently take a deep breath in. Arms lift up, feet lift up. Keep the extension of the body without tightening the lower back. Simply there. There is no way to say this is the posture. Not even this, not even that. Thisness, experiencing, and very gently drop it. Soften the hips. Arm stretching to the back, holding onto the ankles. Very gently coming into the posture where you're performing the posture, not so much of an end, not so much of a beginning. So a space of beginningless, space of endlessness. Very gently bring the heels closer to the buttocks, holding and very gently generate some acupressure onto the feet through your thumbs. So very gently using the present moment of the practice as the portal, part of the eternity, and release to let go. So you can see there is a pattern from all the classes are leading into this place. So we can go into a deeper level of the ego, still holding as becoming humble. Because in the present moment, you cannot actually find your mind. If you really see, it's always wavering either towards or past or towards future. So the space of the mind is nothing other than a consist in dreaming. Now very gently turning the head onto a side and very gently turning the head onto the other side. Back to the center. Shoulders relax. Now very gently palms facing down, under your thighs, if it's better. Now take a deep breath in and open up the throat a little bit more. This posture might affect your chin, so create space. And very gently take a deep breath in, push the shoulders down and lift up the feet as much as you can. Very gently keep your chin down and give that extension to the feet, back of the feet, as much as you can. Some people can go further, but just very gently create that space on the lower back and very gently drop it. Now very gently clasp the hands into the back. So take a deep breath in, release the arms out of the thighs and back and clasp the hands in the back. Clasp them, interlacing the fingers. Stretch and lift up the upper chest and back of the upper back. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Squeeze the shoulders, then spread the shoulders and drop. That's better. Now very gently feet mat width apart, palms onto the chest level. Very gently palms onto the chest level, breathing in into a gentle cobra. Now very gently overlooking onto the left side. Wider, wider, wider. Back to the center, or looking onto the right side. Opening up into the present moment. Back to the center. Shoulders relax and chest open. Now very gently, bring that palms where your elbows are. Feet together, breathing in into an up face. Breathe out towards the down face. Head down, neck down, totally relax. Now very gently find the space of this posture without forcing it. Just become the embodiment of the posture, not the past of the posture, not your future idea about the posture. So find the breath, bring the mindset into the pose. So when you're really deeply enjoying this space of the posture, you will slip out of the mind. And you will know what is the space of that portal. Remain. This part when we cannot explain to you. If you explain the mind too much, you go back into the mind of the pose, but the heart of the pose is different. Now very gently drop the knees, stretch the spine into the back. Now very gently coming into a child pose. Head down, neck down, totally relax. Chest open. Finding that portal of the understanding is not of the mind. There is a greater intelligence. There is a suddenly you're knowing. There is a greater insight. And you know from a totally different center of your being. And you know it from the heart. You're knowing as the quality of the space of love without the separation. But not the love of what you have loved as a knowledge, but you're knowing as the quality of the transcendence. And your knowing is not anymore science knowledge. It is that mystic experience. If you really have to understand yourself, you have to lose your mind. You will have to pay the price of losing your mind. Because the more you understanding from your mind, mind will convince you. And you will never find the portal of the beginningless and endless, which is infinite. It's not finite. Mind only can give you the finite version of you. Nothing which is unknowable. Mind will reduce your experience to measurable, what is profited for you. The unknowable is the sacred. Knowable is very ordinary part of the mind. Wake up the spine one vertebra at a time when you come into this benediction. Unknowable. Now you are thrilled with the wonders of the existence. Suddenly there is a rhythm born in the practice. Suddenly there are so many buds are blossoming in every part of the body that which is need to be healed. Suddenly the practice is in a space of overflowing. Now because you're jumping up and down on a mat. Now there is reaching and seeing that you're sharing this with everyone. The dance that is being shared, a song that's being shared and heard. And how could in this space you become miserable? Suddenly there is an energy comes into your body which is generous. A love is born in you that is so infinite that it is filled with whole infinite existence. That is the real understanding. So answering to all these inquiries. It's always the answer because the mind is dropped. The mind is the question. Try to understand the world from your mind is like really, really not the best. You're just hopping through the existence, but it does not do anything for you. It doesn't release you, it just traps you. But it might just show you the sign of your releasing. It will never give you the wings. Now start getting into the practice slowly, contacting the reality without the mind interfering. Just looking into things without your commentary. You don't have to use a thought. Can you now observe things without evaluating? Anything in the house without bringing a past or a future onto it? If you're close to a window, can you see the light without giving a commentary? The moment you say something, the mind has come in. Because the mind consists of language. Can you just see the practice? Hear the practice? Be possessed by that moment. And don't bring the language into it. Now very gently lift up onto the knees. Take a deep breath. If it's affecting the knees, please keep a blanket underneath. Now roll the shoulders back few times, elevating the spine, elevating the lower back, elevating the buttocks, elevating the hips. Bring that buoyancy into the kidneys. Now very gently hold on to the hips and a gentle arch. Gentle arch, open up the throat. Now very gently take a deep breath in back to the center. Now right arm reaching up to the ceiling, full rotation to the arm. Reach onto the ankle or to the hip. That's it. Push the hips, give that space on the knee to the hip. Back to the center. Left arm reaching up to the ceiling. The extending is important. Breathing into the extension is very important. Try to achieve nothing is also important. Reach onto the heel. Back to the center. Now very gently holding on to the hips and gentle arch. And if your arms right reaching up to the heel, left reaching up to the ceiling, up to the heel, perform the Purna Uttanasana. Now this has variation. Your toes are lift up. If you're flexible, you can drop that also onto the floor and you can reach onto the, push the hips and keep the extension by breathing on the body. Now support the back to the child pose where you don't need anything. You have gained a little experience of what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to do. That was a glimpse of no mind. Glimpse of Satori, glimpse of Samadhi. And you need not verbalize. When you talk about things, that means you're afraid of that pose, the silent. And you don't have to fill up that silence with word. You are now not afraid to be in that space of the truth. Utter spaciousness. You're not afraid to be exposed because there's nothing to expose. You don't have to live on the surface of your you can still feel the presence of your sharing in this whole galaxy, vibrating in that space and allowing that greater energy to possess where it's needed. And then let them come into the dance because they are not separate from you. Let all this spirituality come into a ritual of that peak. But with that space of silence. Wake up the spine one vertebra at a time. Very gently coming into a seating posture. Very gently taking a pose that is seating for you, not necessarily Padmasana, Vajrasana. This is just taking this a moment to disappear into the practice. Just a pure look, not forcing the body, not forcing the thought. Forget all about that you know about the practice. Put aside all your knowledge. Suddenly find the communion of the practice. But suddenly that you see things as objects, no longer objects. They are pouring their being into you and you're pouring your being into them. And that you suddenly has become the expansion of the consciousness. Never miss these opportunities when you can drop the mind. Slowly, slowly, you're becoming the knack of it. Not the science of it, not the technique of it, not the fixed method, not this yoga and that yoga, not this meditation and that meditation. This is about forgetting the technique. This is what capacity to wonder, capacity to see without thinking, capacity to contact reality without the mind. And so no longer we are interfering, no longer we are distorting. In Jesus say, unless you are born again, you will not be able to enter into my kingdom of God. And the kingdom of God is here. But you have to be reborn. Reborn as no mind from the space of the heart. When you come to the realization of the practice, not that you hold the space, you were available, the space was always there. Take a deep breath in, arms very gently raised back to the crown, cleansing that space of the aura. What troubles you is your past, what troubles and you're running away to your future, it is still troubling. There was the portal of the miracle that happened in this very moment. Raising the vibration of the space that you call home, and you're sharing the space, they're sharing the space with you, you're sharing the space with them. object, infinite, finite. Very gently raising the vibration of the arms, palms onto the namaskar position of that realization where you see the communion of everything. This is my blessings in these times, not verbally saying what is right and wrong, but sharing this dance and the truth in these times. Touch the earth, respect for all the earthly elements that is in harmony in this very moment in the space of the practice. Gently coming out of the posture. Comes onto the namaskar position in its self-realization. Namaste. So today's practice is always leading by all the other class. So if you really take the topics of forgiving, the miracle of the moment, and even today's one, not running into the polarity of the mind, one is right and one is wrong, because what is right today is wrong tomorrow, what is wrong tomorrow is right again next day. What is right from another religion is a wrong from another religion. So this is not actually finding answers for this. This is just to find the polarity of the mind, and it is very limited. So therefore it creates doubts, it creates fears, it creates separation. It creates this, because if you have seen with your own mind that how much ownership you have for your children, how much ownership that you have for your house, how much ownership you have for a little item. And imagine this is the path that sometimes the world can be on a mind level, that you want to own these things, but none of us own these things. We all are sharing everything. We are not just earthly beings here, we are from the whole universe. Because we don't know that far to fight, the universe is a little bit free from our fight. I mean, we are in a speck of a little planet. Here we are trying to promote these separations and wars. This is also mind doing, but it doesn't mean that there is no change. Change is happening. Change is happening very gently in little communities like this, holding this space very powerfully. And you have changed the world that your heart is desiring. It is happening, but it has to happen to you first. The world is not going to give it to you. Then you will see the connections, then you see the dots, and you will see the lines connected back again. So enjoy the day today. It's nice and it's raining and it's suddenly cold. So it's all different weathers, but I try not to interpret it. I try not to react to it. But I'm enjoying whatever is thrown in my way and being part of that. So thank you again for Rebecca, Daz, and your beautiful son and the pets. So beautiful to see the family. It's so good to see Liz back in practice with the lovely cat, very connected to yoga. Mary, good to see you. And good to see Maria and Sage and Sylvia. Great to see you and your pet. And Rosemary, good to see you. Good to see you, Nicolina. Good to see you, Pam. So I did have answered all the emails that has been sent, but you know I will never answer it personally. I will never say this is right, this is wrong. It's not because I'm diplomatic. because I see the illusion. I can see it my own family. I can see it. And don't ever think that my life is in a very comfort and I am living in another planet in an airy fairy land. No, I am in real reality. But it's also, I don't take things, personality will take things personal. And I can see my ego, not necessarily as dominant, but my ego can go into the humbleness of another dominance. And that's what I was teaching SFS. It's not about that. It's not about becoming opposite of your doing, but it's realizing it is most important, not the change. Ego drops, all that humbleness, all that bullshit drops eventually, and you become the pure version of yourself, because you are an individual that chosen by this universe and no one else can replace. So don't be anyone else, because you're beautiful and you are important as much as everybody else. Even with your and even my drama, it is important. But the realization and the best part is the part that we come into that level of spaciousness. Love to you all and big hugs to my beautiful family. I'll see you next week.